Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Before we get started, we just want to take a moment to recognize that it's been almost exactly a year since cannabis was designated as essential in California. It's been a wild road, and we're so grateful that we've all made it this far. When COVID hit this time last year, delivery emerged as an even more important sales channel than ever, and it's clear that it's here to stay. So in today's webinar, you'll hear about how to optimize compliant delivery operations in California from my team at Meadow, as well as our delivery logistics partners at Onfleet, which is a San Francisco-based technology company specializing in logistics management software and route optimization for businesses offering last mile delivery. Last year, when storefronts closed due to COVID, we created a guidebook about how to launch delivery in California. And I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat now as an additional resource for everyone to review after today's conversation. We'll also be sending that out in a follow-up email. Let's introduce the panelists. So today we are pleased to welcome Wally Wong, who's on our Meadow SoCal sales team. He also leads our education and social equity programming. Wally is passionate about cannabis, equity, and helping our dispensary partners navigate retail compliance so they can sell more cannabis and take care of their customers and teams. Welcome, Wally. We also have Robert Fierro here with us, who's the head of partnerships at Onfleet. Robert is a former financial industry veteran turned cannabis delivery expert. He's been at Onfleet for 6 years, and he now leads the Onfleet partnership team, which helps businesses supplement their in-store sales with delivery to expand their market reach and broaden their customer base. So if you have any questions as we move through the webinar today, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and we will take them all at the end. So Wally, I will pass the mic to you. Let's get into it.
All right. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. My cousin calls it Friday Junior. I'm so happy we're all here. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Wally. I'm head of Meadow's educational programming. Shout out to Nikki. I see you. Shout out to Jane. I see you. Thanks for joining us today. For those of you that don't know us, since 2014, Meadow has built California-specific cannabis point-of-sale software, and we also do delivery, e-commerce, CRM, and marketing that is designed for speed, volume, and profitability. Our all-in-one platform has the tools you need to run and scale your business while saving time, increasing revenue, growing and marketing to your customer base, and staying compliant on each and every inventory transaction. On Meadow, your tax records will always be accurate and your data is always secure. With Meadow, you can sell in-store, online, as well as execute pickup and delivery orders all inside Meadow without any third-party integrations. We integrate with Weedmaps, Leafly, as well as QuickBooks, and you're even able to use Google Tag Manager, which we're going to talk about today, to track real-time dynamic website engagement using our Meadow e-commerce menu. It's really, really wonderful. With Meadow, you retain all your customer data across all your sales channels. You can launch targeted text campaigns with our new native text marketing functionality built directly into your Meadow dashboard. It's a powerful new way for delivery teams to communicate directly with your most loyal and engaged customers. You can send targeted, personalized messages that drive sales, brand loyalty, and lifetime customer value. You're even able to create zip code specific customer groups and send regional promo campaigns. We're the fastest, most complete, and easy to use system in California. And I can say with confidence that all the teams that run Meadow operate at a higher level of compliance. So before we get into delivery workflows, which we're going to go to, I wanted to give a quick sneak peek of another tool we recently launched called Premium Inventory Velocity. This tool forecasts inventory demand and shows you what you need to be ordered and when. You can also see which products need to be moved through with sales and promos, your best sellers, how many days of inventory you have on hand, and more. It's going to become the tool your buyers can't live without. We're releasing it in time for the run up to 420, so make sure you have the optimal product mix to meet demand. Here's some quotes from some of our happy customers. Meadow's customers range from small and pop shops to some of the biggest dispensaries and delivery services in the state. We work hand in hand with our customers, incorporating their feedback from real-world issues to create solutions and workflows to help them be more efficient. We truly have built the best software for California cannabis, and we're proud of what we've been building here since 2014. We pride ourselves on having great relationships with our clients and offering ongoing support and educational resources like today's webinar because we truly care about this industry and want to see you thrive. Onfleet is an amazing delivery logistics platform. It's used by lots of other non-cannabis industries, and this is the most sophisticated way to organize your workflows and also keep your customers happy, as they can see how far away the driver is and receive notifications automatically when they are close and about to thrive. Meadow's integration with Onfleet is the best way to make cannabis delivery seamless, with real-time automated and custom updates between driver, customer, and dispatcher. That's a two-way integration. Okay, so that means if order is changed on either the driver or the dispatcher side, it's changed in real time throughout both systems. You're able to optimize routes for distance or traffic, and you can easily assign and schedule deliveries, track driver locations, and their progress. So, Robert, I hand it to you, my friend. Can you give us a little bit more of an overview of Onfleet before we get into the conversation?
Hi, everybody, and my name is Robert Fierro. I head up partnerships at Onfleet. I'm really excited to be here, and really excited to be here with my friend Wally. Wally he knows Onfleet probably almost as well as I know Onfleet, so it's great to follow his lead and really talk about the benefits of Onfleet. Onfleet has been around, I'd say 8 years at this point. I've owned the company 6. Now, as Wally mentioned, we do power deliveries across 600 to 700 cities around the world. So we power multiple millions of deliveries a month. Some of the mainstream customers that we support are Total Wine & More, Imperfect Foods, Napa Auto Parts, HEB, everything. And we cover all different types of segments, flowers, prepared meals. Cannabis, though, is near and dear to our hearts. That was the focus of the company when it was originally created. Funny enough, the company tried to incorporate on 420, and as you might understand, somehow the incorporation ended up on 421. So from there, Onfleet was born and started out of a Stanford StartX program. Now, Onfleet prides itself on being the de facto cannabis delivery solution. And what you'll find is with Onfleet, we not only are going to help you stay compliant in the different piece of the information that you need to provide out to Metric in regards to the different compliance pieces around tracking and tracing your driver. We also have some key components. And so those components, which I'll be showing you later, we do have a dispatcher dashboard where you can monitor and see the deliveries in real time. We also have our driver applications, which are best in class. So they're the highest rated driver apps among all modern logistics software in both the Android and inside the Apple store. And then on top of that, we have our best in class customer messaging. So in our world and in the current world, we realize that the final touch point is really when we're delivering to our customers. Sometimes customers aren't even coming into stores. They're doing you're taking orders, doing the deliveries, and the only time they actually know about your company is as they're receiving their delivery. And so we want to make sure that we're giving that just-in-time sense of care as we go through the delivery process, and I'll be showing you that in just a second. But all of this culminates to try and just give a better experience to the customer, keep you guys in compliance, and help power your deliveries through the Onfleet system. And from there, I think I'm going to pass it over to Wally so he can show a little bit more about the Meadow product.
Yeah, and we should talk about it because, there's a reason, there's a real specific reason that we partner with your team. And you brought it up at the beginning regarding the fact that you guys are outside cannabis. And I think for those of you that don't know, on our side of the table, Robert and I's side of the table as technology providers, there's so many that have come and go. I think the value that Onfleet has brought to our relationship in terms of knowing that just like Meadow and those of you in the room that have operations, for something to work every day in cannabis technology, that it be turnkey and it have system efficacy and that you can actually run and build your business on. That is the same reason we partnered with Onfleet. Those are some of the core tenets that we operate on inside Meadow, is the ability to have great faith that you turn it on and it works. If we were in another industry, if we're lucky to be in HEB's industry, then nothing would really badly would happen if the system didn't work. But unfortunately, because we're in cannabis, we have things like driver manifests, which Onfleet readily provides that are a compliance issue. You're required to have a GPS solution, which Onfleet satisfies. And on our end, we are doing the compliance reporting. So what this looks like, and we're going to get into it in a minute, is that when you fulfill, when a driver on the Onfleet app fulfills an order, it automatically fulfills the order in Meadow and then reports from the appropriate package for all my inventory managers in the room. And we're auto reporting that sale from the approach, which is huge because that's a huge issue in the delivery space with inventory compliance efficacy. But let's talk about this past year, Robert. So here we are.
Lots happening.
A lot. And so on us, all of a sudden, pandemic starts. Want to what Aria brought up at the beginning, this wonderful group of cannabis industry. They lobbied hard, got cannabis made essential. What a break for the industry, quite frankly. I think it's in a lot of ways, it was a break that we needed collectively. And then we watch our Meadow menu, we watch orders slowly start, not even slowly, exponentially shooting up through our e-commerce menu functionality. And that's to say delivery and pickup starts going through the roof. What did you guys see on your side of the table?
I mean, I just want to touch upon a point before I go into that, Wally. One of the things you mentioned was, the desire to have a professional suite of software in the cannabis industry. And for those veterans and for those that have gone through this business for a while, just experiencing different softwares coming and going, knowing that your software is going to work, function, do the things that it's supposed to do is not always a given in the industry. And so that, I just wanted to highlight that. And as Onfleet is outside into all these different other industries, we're held to this higher standard because of these enterprise class customers that are out there. And so we really take the care in working with the correct companies to make sure. And it's interesting for me because as I've kind of grown in this industry, customers will come back and say that Onfleet is a bulletproof software, that we have beautiful APIs. And those types of comments really help, justify our positioning in the industry. And I think the same goes for Meadow. People use Meadow and they feel it's a beautiful piece of software. It's an easy to use software, and that it really takes care of their business and the experience for the end customer.
Yeah. So delivery operators, it's the turnkey aspect. They know that we can launch them in 2 to 3 days and that it works every day.
And so to that point, when the industry, all of a sudden when COVID hit, it was incredible the amount of growth and the amount of interest that happened instantly. I mean, I just remember the month of March, I basically just sat at my screen doing demos nonstop, just getting people online, realizing that if we didn't do the demos, if we didn't teach the people and get them the software as quickly as possible, their businesses could just stop. And so it was really this matter of just jumping in, trying to help as many customers as possible, and really turning on businesses within, a few hours, like just getting people up and running so that they could continue to operate the way they used to. And that flood of customers, I mean, I feel like we've done a really good job keeping those customers satisfied. And through the partnership with Meadow, especially making sure that they're staying compliant as they quickly spin up these businesses. And we saw that across the board.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this. I mean, for everyone that's been in this space, we go back, you go back a couple of years and the non-storefront delivery license, it wasn't the most valued license. And you would, me personally, I know to the mom and pops, for people who are bootstrapping that put in their, earnest dollars to secure their license, like groups of 3 or 4 people who are, and I know how much they put in, and I know they were having a go. And I don't like to use the word break, but there was this moment. There were so many delivery operators. We have a great team, Tahoe Harvest Collection. It's Mike and his son started their delivery operation. And I talked to them a few weeks ago, and to hear from them, it's been a great year. You're like, yeah, and that kind of gets into another part of the conversation, is in terms of the licensing. The delivery operators have been able to get up and going, but as you know, there's a lot more. It's a lot more in that space. It's a lot more independently financed, bootstrapped. And you do want them. You want them to thrive because, you know, as we all know, cannabis retail, it's all in the margins. The taxes are egregious, and those first few months are so crucial to be able to scale their business and to be part of that in terms of when you see them winning, it's a great feeling, because it's a tough, cannabis retail can be a tough go sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, to speak to that, Wally, I grew up in a retail family. So my parents owned card and gift stores. So, and you can imagine a card and gift store, you've got your greeting cards, and it is really pennies that you're working with there. So I saw the struggles that my parents went through, even to just create those margins and create that profitability. So I really look at it as a kind of a personal mission when it comes to the mom and pops and the smaller businesses that are really bootstrapping. And this idea that delivery was key, not only during COVID, but then beyond that, to expand the footprint of the brick and mortar to then go out and capture this additional market share has been so incredible to watch. And we've seen, exponential growth for all of our delivery operators. So those of you that are on the fence on if you should be doing delivery, you should definitely embrace it. And we can always guide you and talk to you about how to do it profitably. And Meadow has tools in place like that as well. I mean, they have ability to implement the basket size so that you make sure that every delivery is a profitable delivery. And there's other tools in place that they have that you can take advantage of as well.
Yeah, 100. We're built for growth. We're built for the California supply chain. And between, with Metric going online, I mean, the teams that use us, the delivery teams that use us, it's the turnkey aspect. It's our web menu. It's the fact that we've got the Google Tag Manager, and and when I say we're built for growth, and let's start getting into it, is how much customer data we're able to quickly turn around, sales and customer data that you're able to quickly turn around, pivot, execute marketing campaigns, and also know that your compliance is bulletproof, that your reporting is accurate, your taxes are executed accurately, and that you can now have all this segmented customer data to do something with. But let's get into it, because that's what we're here for. So
yeah, I want to see this whole marketing aspect that you've been talking about. I mean, I'm very interested. It seems exciting, and like the idea to getting those customers in, but then once they're in, retaining them and growing them. I mean, that's where the real bread and butter is. So
that's what we're here for. Let's get into it.
We're going to take you through some key components here. So this is really a day in the life of the dispatcher using Onfleet. And then over here, you'll notice this is actually a mirror image on my personal iPhone. So I'm going to go through the driver experience with the Onfleet driver app in iOS. And then I'll also demonstrate end recipient messaging, just going through a quick delivery flow for you here. So what we can imagine is you've got your stores, and with Onfleet, you can actually have multiple stores on one dashboard. And so these little purple circles will represent those locations or the dispensaries. And then we've got our little pins, which represent our end recipients. Those pins correlate to this list view over here with all these great people. And then below that, we have teams, and then assigned to those teams are drivers. And so these teams will be then assigned to the dispensaries. And then from here, we can imagine that this flow of orders is coming in through the Meadow system. And once we're ready to send our drivers out for delivery, we can literally just highlight all these tasks, right-click, run route optimization, select the teams of drivers that we want to optimize with, click proceed, and this will automatically route all of these tasks out to these drivers in real time. It's going to take advantage of traffic, current and historical delivery windows. We're going to see also, and I did that little warning there, so I'm just going to drag some tasks down. You can also drag tasks to drivers in Onfleet. You can also draw routes in Onfleet if you wanted to. So I'm just going to take these down to James Joyce, my driver. And then from there, I've got my list of tasks that the driver's received. I'm going to turn my driver on duty over here on the driver app. and we'll see those on the driver app. So this is going to pass over all the information from the task that we captured from Meadow. And then all that information now lives on the driver app. So the driver can go out and perform these deliveries.
And they're customers getting ETA the whole time.
Yep. So we're going to get to that in just a second. So at this point, we can send out our first messaging. And so as you can see here, we've got these accurate estimated times of completion. If we click that flag again, it becomes the estimated arrival time. That's used to send this message ahead of a route beginning. So now all the customers know in that route what stop number they are, as well as their estimated arrival time. And then now that they're all alerted, our driver is going to take off and start performing these deliveries. And so we can jump in here, select this first task, and it gives all the information related to the delivery. And then we're just going to click on Start Task and Navigate. That opens up Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze, depending on what the driver is pre-selected. And once we start that task, it sends out a triggering event, sending out our next message to our end recipient. And this time we're going to alert them that the delivery is coming, as well as give them the ability to track the driver in real time. And it seems like my messaging is a little delayed there. So I'll just show you what that tracking link looks like. And so customers can view the driver in real time, and everything updates in Onfleet multiple times per second. So it's giving a real life feel to that driver, to that dispatcher, to that end recipient as the driver heads towards them. And there's that message that was delayed. And so on top of that, so I'm just going to show you right here that we can click in, and once again, that tracking link will display. Now, once we've sent this tracking link, now communication opens up between the driver and customer. And we do anonymized communication, so there's no exchange of phone numbers between drivers and customers. It will cut off communication at the end of the delivery. And then from here, they can call or text. On the reverse, the driver now has the same options, call or text. And then we can also send additional messaging. So we can send messaging as a driver is arriving. So kind of like Uber or Lyft, as that driver gets closer, we can let them know that the driver is about to arrive. And this is going to save you time and money because customers will come out and meet that driver. Now, on top of that, we can also include in this message a contactless signature option. So if we did want to capture the signature of our end recipient upon delivery, we can do that. And since we don't want them signing on the driver's phone anymore because of COVID, we can actually have them sign on their own phone. And I've included that message right here so you guys can see an example of it. So it says here, please sign for proof of delivery. And so we can tap into that. And then once again, it's going to be another branded experience as we capture that signature. So all that information gets captured. There's also an ETA-based message. So sometimes customers are concerned about the driver being tracked from the start of the task till the end of the task. So instead, you could have the driver just tracked for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. All of these messages are customizable by you and your teams. And then the preview would be down here. Now, I'm going to jump back in here and complete this delivery. Now, you can also see that we're having status changes happening as this delivery experience is happening. So we can see that the driver is turning blue, the active task turns blue, so we know exactly what's going on. We can always jump in there and help out if we need to as a dispatcher, if a delivery is not going well. And then from here, we're just going to tap to complete. Now this brings up our completion screen. Now we can capture photos. We can barcode scan if you feel that's important in your business. That signature requirement that I had set for the driver initially is now fulfilled by that contactless signature. And then on top of that, we can verify age off of the back of a US or Canadian ID. We can also enter any notes here and then complete that with success. Now that's going to complete that task. It's going to send out our last message. This time we're going to thank that customer for being such a great customer. And then we can click in there and our customer can now, or the end recipient can now rate the driver on that experience. So we know exactly what's going on. They can comment, they can give a rating, and we can capture all of that. And then once all this information is captured, in Onfleet, you can review all of it. And considering we've got compliance factors going into play here, we do have everything geo-stamped and time-stamped. So it's all legal proof of delivery. So I'm just going to filter out some of these statuses here just to make it easier to find this completed PIN. And then we can go in
early on in the process. This sort of, if you're in the process of licensing or about to go operational on your license, I can't stress enough, to have this already readily available, for compliance, how big of a deal this is. This is a huge compliance piece. But keep going, Robert, because I'll show you our end as well. Keep going.
Yep. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, so all this information is captured. So you can see here that we redisplay the information for the task. We have our status in here, task duration and time. Distance traveled will also load in. We also have a clear timeline for all the interactions. So as I mentioned, we're geo-stamping and time stamping everything. On top of that, if there's any changes to route optimization, we're auditing that. And then also all the information we captured is here. And then eventually a little button will appear here, which will show the breadcrumb route the driver drove if we want to analyze that. And then all of this can be exported through Excel. A lot of this is brought back into Meadow. So it's just an incredible way to make sure that you are, well, it's an incredible way to do something that in a simplified fashion that is really difficult. We're really trying to take the headache away of all of the logistical headaches that happen with the delivery operation. And so we're really just trying to delight you and delight the customer as we go through this experience.
Yeah, there is so much automation going on. Like I said, if we weren't in cannabis, a lot of this would be moot. But the ability for the dispatcher and the core team to be able to easily access that manifest is a huge issue. Also, the auto fulfillment, on our end, what this looks like, and just to give you all a sense. And now I'm happy because we're talking about the deep stuff. When we're talking about, so we're right there, just between those first two workflows, because what we had compliance-wise, we had the emailed compliant receipt. We're also getting customer signature, right? And then on Meadow, you have readily available the actual compliant receipt issued by state. Okay. So if you want to, and many teams do, they print this to have prepared by, delivered by, but you're basically covered in 3 different ways on this. And then to what Robert brought up in terms of what everything we're capturing, I'm going to share. And now we're going deep. I'm going to go into some of our reporting functionality. And because we're a closed system, because we're capturing everything, we're able to show you on the back end, this is the sort of stuff we're capturing. We're able to show you your order, your on-fleet delivery time. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying Meadow's like built for growth, is that you're able to easily access this data and base your staffing around this. We're going to be able to show you your trends. We're going to be able to show you your sales trends.
Yeah, forecasting, super important, especially in delivery.
Well, yeah, let's get into that, because this is where I get excited, is in terms of what we're offering our end, because we've got all this great. Robert and his team are capturing all the actual real-time sales data on our end. What we're able to show you, and we'll talk about the customer segmentation, we're actually able to get into inventory velocity. Okay, we're able to show you what's selling, how many days of inventory you have with our new velocity functionality, and with our really the most exciting thing that we're getting ready to release, our new insights functionality. We're going to be able to show you your average cart size, all on the Meadow dashboard, your order breakdowns for all of the retailers for in-store delivery and pickup, your payment type, super important. Once again, we're in cannabis. You take debit payments, and credit payments, you're gonna have a fee on that because you're having to use a payment processor. We're also able to go to products overview and show you your top categories, your top brands, all your top products. We're even able to go into the customers, which gets into the customer database. We're able to show you your returning, new, and anonymous, all your customer demographics. It's all right here. And that's like when I say we're built for growth. It's hard to get a system that has all the, like Robert brought up, has all the functionality, has all the wonderful user interface, works day in, day out, speaks to the compliance portion, but now actually has the granular data and the ability to use it. So let me talk about the customer, our marketing suite, and what makes up Meadow marketing, right? So we have, just so you know, you can set up your delivery by zip codes. You can set up your regions by zip codes. You can also set up delivery minimums, right? So we can show you your revenue by zip code to make it worth your driver's time, all right?
this is huge, Wally. I got to tell you, I've heard stories when they were launching markets in Florida where drivers would go out and, in Florida, they have to have a delivery driver, they have to have a security guy in the car, and just trying to grab market share, they would drive like 100 miles in one direction and drop off a basket of $100. So, I mean, profitability and selecting and making sure your basket size is correct for the distance you're traveling is hugely important in creating that delivery business.
For the accompanying webinar, let's just do a webinar about that weird conversation with the security guy and the driver. Horrible situation. Does he have a gun? That's like so uncomfortable. That like, what happened? That's a lot of time with the security guy. All right. So we can set our minimums by zip code. We've got we can set up discounts. We can do happy hour discounts. We've got our loyalty. Okay, so this is one piece. We can do point generation. We can do partial points. And we've got our promo codes. We can set promo codes. And then we have our customer CRM, right? You have a customer database. These customers create profiles. You can group them. This is set up for a region. This is set up for a kind of a dispensary model, but this can be zip codes. You can set up, you have the customer data to set up regional zip codes, right? And you can auto assign discounts. So we have all these disparate pieces, and then we have our marketing functionality. And this is where Meadow gets really exciting when we're talking about the ability to put data immediately to use. Welcome to Robert's High Stack.
Oh yeah.
Love it. Use this code for 5% off. And right here, we're able to create a promo code directly inside the marketing suite. And you haven't left Meadow. This is all still inside Meadow. And now we can take that and do customer segmentation. We can do total order price and range. And like I said, there's a version of setting this up for regional. You can do when last they ordered. And we can keep going, Robert.
Yeah, no, this is real user friendly. I mean, I'm liking it.
Product that they ordered to the stuff that needs to get sold, because we can tell you what needs to get sold because you can click over to inventory velocity. We can do it to how many loyalty points they have. And that's where the system gets really incredible, gets built for growth for retailers. And on top of that, we can show you the conversion. We can show you the conversion, which sent, how many orders received, and the ROI on those campaigns, okay? So that's where we get super excited as a team. We released this in Q4. We just released our inventory velocity, and being the only California-specific point-of-sale system, now, like we said at the beginning, you turn it on, it works. The compliance issue, we're not gonna talk about compliance, even though it's my favorite thing, but the compliance issue is taken care of, and that's where we really start setting ourselves apart. I mean, for you guys, on your side, where are you seeing it going? Like to all these, because I know we have a lot of new operators in the room and new licensees. There's a few, I know Nikki's in here. She's opening a big delivery operation down here in SoCal. I'm so glad you're here, Nikki. What are you seeing going forward? How can people get better, right? Like before, like to what we talked about at the beginning, no one saw this coming to COVID, to this huge explosion in the delivery space. What do we see as best practices? I love that you're talking that you guys consider it the last customer touch, because that's what it is. I always say in delivery, every customer is yours to lose. All you got to do, good experience, and you've got a customer for life. People don't want to shop around and sit around all day. They want to know where to get their weed and easily get it. So tell me what you guys are seeing and what you're planning on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the goal is always to provide that incredible customer experience. So really understanding your customer base, and when we're trying to run these profitable delivery businesses, understanding where your saturation is, understanding what your basket size should be determined by the distance that the drivers are traveling. Really looking for more efficiencies, trying to maximize the amount of tasks that a driver can do within an hour is usually the end goal here as well. And then we're also seeing, and while you and I have talked about this, but there's that big push on the delivery only side of the business. So we're starting to see the ice cream truck model, which I don't really like to use because the connotation towards children. So the warehouse on wheels model, just going to spell it out there. And that idea that, drivers are running around with inventory in their vehicles, which California allows, one of the few states that allows that, but that real efficiency driving ability to have inventory in the vehicle and really working towards managing that inventory, getting that product to the customer, sometimes within 10 or 15 minutes because because they have the inventory already on hand. So I think that's where I see a lot of California cannabis going. And nobody does it perfectly yet. So I think there's a lot of room out there. I think it also helps, and there's give and takes, right? So you've got your brick and mortars and you've got your location and you've got your in traffic. So you've got those extra touch points if you're a brick and mortar, which is a big difference between delivery. People can just skip around from delivery providers. So it's really important to give that best in class experience. But it also, there is convenience in the delivery businesses because they can expand. And especially in delivery, you can start to grab market share beyond the reaches of the brick and mortar. So we're seeing a lot of that. And I see that's really where we're headed as for the future in cannabis, especially in California.
Yeah, and let me answer this question. Ray, I see you, man. I'm a packaging manufacturer, bags, box. Is there compliance for the delivery packaging? There's overall, it is a closed bag, just like it is for all cannabis retail, Ray. So look up California cannabis retail packaging. You'll see what those compliance requirements are, but it's a closed bag. Yeah, I think, Robert, here's the thing too for everyone that's here who's not started a delivery operation, and I'm glad we're talking about it because we're going to talk about SOPs, which that guidebook that we just gave out. You're all welcome for the new operators. You've got your quite a bit of baseline SOPs there. This is what we know. I know you know this as well, that no one runs the same operation in terms of delivery. Everybody does it a little bit differently. I love it. It can be, I've seen it. I've seen Central Coast operators who is, I brought up that Team Tahoe Harvest up in Mike and his son. They're doing it. They're running it out of their car. They have their logistics person. Then we have other people in Central Coast who are absolutely doing incredible work with just the mom and pops. But then we have CCA in Silver Lake, one of the largest providers, and Higher Path down in Sherman Oaks, retail operators that are running 2 or 3 cars. And let me tell you what this looks like. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but I'm talking about retail dispensaries to the pandemic of it all. 2 months into the pandemic, cars doing over 200, grossing over 200 grand of revenue a day off of, not a day, a month off of their delivery. And that's just one car. And then being like, we just had one going this month, we're going to add another. And that's the difference in the space, right? But to the SOPs of it all, can you talk about what Onfleet offers in terms of how many? I know we have a few teams that run you that do have like kind of remote teams. They have the people, they have a dispatcher who's working remotely. I think that that's so interesting because I don't know exactly how they do it, to be complete, but I do know that they have a disparate team, or to what Robert brought up, with a California delivery license, you can deliver all over the state. So they're running multi-region, which we have teams that are running 5 different regions on Meadow, and they have 5 different teams, so what does that look like in terms of remote and still maintaining system efficacy?
Yeah, I mean, Onfleet's built for all different types of operations. There's a lot of flexibility involved, and it's, you can really customize the experience, especially for your own in-house team, on how they use Onfleet. And we will see where they have centralized dispatchers. So you'll just see a room of people all on Onfleet managing, as you mentioned, these different teams as they're going out and performing these deliveries. And then these teams really do sit in these regional locations, and then they can shift the drivers to different regions depending on the demand that's going on. So it just creates almost like this mobile warehouse or mobile dispensary of goods. And from a compliance standpoint, we're measuring everything, right? So we're tracking where the driver is, where the customer is. We're tracking all the distances between the dispatching or the locations, the dispensaries. We're tagging when drivers are arriving. We're tagging when drivers are leaving. All of it is geo-stamped and time-stamped. So you can take all of those measurements and really start to get into the minutia of how the delivery operation is performing. Where are the gaps? We also measure the service time on site. So you can start to see, which drivers are spending their time with the customers, which drivers are actually wasting their time. We can see if drivers are on duty or idle. We can see all these different pieces, right? And that allows us visibility into the delivery business. We really take an approach. Our CTO is a valedictorian in math from Stanford. So he gets really into it. He really looks at it as, if we can make incremental decreases in the delivery time, say 5 minutes of delivery or even 2 minutes of delivery, what kind of impact will that have on the business overall? How many more deliveries can you be performing an hour? How can we maximize the ability of each driver to do better for their different company? And so that's really the focus of all the improvements that we look at for the future, especially in the routing algorithms, all the messaging elements. And it's really, and for us, messaging is so important because not only is it providing the better customer experience, but we want to make sure the customer is there, So you don't want your driver driving all the way to this house. They get there and then the customer for some reason has forgotten about the delivery. The customer is not there. They haven't communicated well. So we're always trying to give that advanced notification. And that's really where our predictive ETAs come into play, our tracking the driver. All of it is really to make sure that for you as a dispensary, the deliveries are happening and the customers are happy when the delivery happens.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And I see you, Liz. I'm going to talk about our social equity portion of this specifically in a moment. It's so crazy you bring up the time of it all, because we look at the same thing when it comes to inside the in-store experience and the overall workflow. It's how do we get down from that 6 to 8 minute consultative sale time at the counter down to 4 to 6. And once again, if Robert and I opened our incredible pizza restaurant that we will in the future, and we ran it the way we ran, there would be no issues if there were problems, or if customers took a long time, or when our pizzas went out that the customers weren't there. Unfortunately, we're in cannabis. It's a cash business. There's security issues with drivers out. I think it's still a little bit early in the game. I see these, I'm down here in LA, I see these branded driver cars around. It's like you're kind of flagging to quite a bit of people that there's a large amount of cash in this person's vehicle. But then now I eat my words. That's probably why in Florida they have the weird. So let me talk to Liz though. Liz, I see you. I'm here for it. They brought it up at the beginning. I do lead social equity programming here at Meadow. We do offer discounted pricing specifically for social equity operators. Reach out to me. We honor them. We honor legacy operators that are entering the space. We're here for it, and it's pricing to make the POS system. We've done a lot of thought around it to not make it a budgetary constraint, not to be considered. It's pricing that grows with you. Reach out to me, Wally at Get Meadow, and we'll talk about it. We're bringing on quite a few down here in LA. Up in Sacramento, we work with the Core program up there, as well as Miss Angela and Success Centers in the Bay Area. And down here in LA, I activate with Kika and Siwa, as well as a few other equity organizations. So please, I'm here for it. It's part of my personally and professionally, I'm a big supporter of social equity programs. So please.
I want to echo that too, Wally, because I've worked with social equity in different states as well. We do support social equity. We also have discounts for social equity with Onfleet. So you can always reach out to me, Robert at onfleet.com, if you guys have any questions about social equity as well.
Beautiful. Camille, I hope I'm saying your name right. I hate when people say my name wrong. It's Wally, like the robot. Camille, do you have a solution for online card processing? Okay, we are not integrated with a payment processor directly on our Meadow menu. We do have payment processing partnerships for debit card processing. But we don't have a direct integration on the Meadow menu itself. But you are able to set up appropriate fees if you want to add a $3 like debit card fee as well as a delivery fee. We do have that functionality. And a big thing, you know what, we didn't touch on it in the workflow. The biggest value add of our integration is drivers do not work in Meadow. Drivers do not touch your inventory in Meadow. They only work in Onfleet. And that two-way integration enables, if you change the order inside Meadow, it's going to change in the Onfleet app. Onfleet driver changes it, but as long as he fulfills it, and that's why all those qualifiers that Robert brought up in terms of checking ID, right? All this, they're retaining all that data. And once they fulfill it, it's going to close it out in Meadow, report the appropriate sale to metric on the compliance portion. So that I didn't want to miss that we covered that. But welcome to the future. Meadow's about to make a lot of our clients really happy and get them focused back on their customers, not on doing Excel spreadsheets on their own. All right. Any last words, Robert, before we wrap this thing?
No, I mean, I gotta thank you for having us or for doing this webinar together. I mean, it's incredible as always to work with Meadow. I'm super excited for Meadowlands. Hopefully it's in person this year. And yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions about Onfleet, you can always just reach out to me, robert@onfleet.com. Happy to walk you through Onfleet, set you up with some of our people to demonstrate Onfleet and really get you started in the delivery world.
Beautiful. Thank you all for making time for us. I believe the recording will go out as well as the delivery guide. And Aria, you do your thing.
Perfect. Thank you. And Robert, thanks for mentioning Meadowlands. Yes, that's our big annual cannabis industry retreat in the Redwoods. It's like 500 people on 200 acres of redwoods. Obviously, we weren't able to gather in 2020. We're really hoping that we can make it happen this year. So stay tuned. We'll be sure to send out more information about that. And yes, tomorrow we will send the recording as well as a link to that delivery guide. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Wally or Robert. Their emails are there on the screen. Thank you all so much for being here. Hope you have a lovely afternoon and take care.